Dungeons and Dragons is dead, is something some people might be saying, but I'm certainly not. I mean, maybe it's taken a dagger to the heart, but it's going to take more than that to kill the beast. I'm joking. It's fine. Whatever game you want to like. But there are a lot of people talking about Critical Role's new open play test of their system, Daggerheart, which I'm gonna try so hard not to call Dragonheart. It's not a movie where Sean Connery is a good for the time animated dragon.
Hello.
Now, there are a lot of people online talking about Daggerheart, but I have seen personally a lot of different videos on YouTube and TikTok with people talking about the system where they haven't read the entire rule book, or if they have read the book, they haven't actually played it to see how it feels. Well, I read the book, 370 pages. I mean, okay, I didn't read every enemy description and stuff, but I've read all the rules. And I played it! If you don't want to stick around for a whole video, I think it's very good. I think it is a wonderful, more streamlined alternative to D&D or some other fantasy role-playing games. It's a little more complex than some really easy narrative games that we've covered on this channel. But overall, I think it's a really positive step. And this is coming from someone who doesn't really watch Critical Role. Nothing against it. I don't have 4 hours a week to dedicate to watching an actual play. I just don't. It's nothing against them. Or maybe it is, I don't know. If you want to know some of the basics about how to play the game and everything, I would highly suggest you go watch Critical Role's video. They cover the basic mechanics and stuff. But if you don't want to watch that, really quickly, it is a game where you're going to choose a class. There's 9, 12? I don't actually remember. There's a number of classes. Every class has their own features, and then they get features from 2 domains. Every class has 2 domains, and every domain is shared between 2 classes, I think. So there's going to be crossover between classes, and you can kind of see what sort of niches they fit into. When you're doing an action in this game, there's going to be a difficulty number that you have to hit, and as a player, you are going to roll 2d12 plus whatever trait, which is their stat modifier, and maybe any other bonuses you might get. The die need to look different because one of your die is your fear die, and one of your die is your hope die. And whether or not you succeed or fail, you will succeed or fail with hope or fear, depending on which one of these is higher. If they're the same, it's a critical success, and that's with hope. If you succeed or fail with hope, as a player, you gain a resource called hope that you can spend for bonuses. If you succeed or fail with fear, then if you succeed with fear, you might get what you want at a cost. If you fail with fear, it's kind of like a critical failure. Something really bad's going to happen. Plus, the GM is going to get fear tokens, which are their resource to make interesting narrative things happen and power enemy abilities and stuff like that. It's a really, really fun, slick system because every roll, someone's gonna get some kind of resource that helps adjust the balance of things, which can make the narrative feel, more exciting, more tense, whatever. What I wanted to do in this video is touch on some of the things that I've been seeing brought up about this system, especially from folks who are commenting on it without having actually tried it at all. A big thing that I've seen people commenting on are, there's too many things to track in this game. Oh my god, it's too much stuff to track. How am I supposed to keep track of all this stuff? This, I guess, is going to depend on where you're coming from as a player. If you're coming from really simple games, a lot of the Power by the Apocalypse games, Easy D6, Quest, games like that, yeah, there are more resources and stuff to keep track of in this game. You've got to keep track of not just your health, but your stress, which is not a buffer to health. It's something that you can use to use certain abilities and help folks out or whatever, but it's a limited resource. You've got armor slots, which your armor can reduce incoming damage. And you've got your hope, and then I guess certain individual abilities are per session or per long rest. That is compared to, say, something like masks or quests or Easy D6. Yeah, that's more stuff to keep track of. But I've seen this complaint coming a lot from folks who play Dungeons and Dragons, and what? it's not more to keep track of than there is in D&D. It's just different stuff to keep track of, because in D&D, there's tons of stuff to keep track of in D&D. I don't feel like this is that much harder, and a lot of this is simplified where you're keeping track of things that are like you can have 5 or 6 of at most. It's not that hard to track this stuff. And I've heard some folks, they were just like, oh, but you know, if you have the physical character sheet, you're constantly going to be drawing and erasing and stuff, and it's gonna dry erase marker and a clear little plastic slip that you put your character sheet into, and then you can draw all the stuff. It doesn't look great because there's not something behind it, but yeah, you can kind of see, like, this is a very easy solution. Or go to the local craft shop and get some those little flat glass beads, or go to your change jar and grab a bunch of pennies, or if you're a really cool person, get your little Wulong tokens from the Cowboy Bebop RPG or whatever. Just have tokens to keep track of stuff. You can use them to keep track of your health, of your hope, of your whatever, and just have some tokens laid out on the table and use that. Then you don't have to ever write on your sheet, except in between sessions to keep track of stuff. So, do I think having to keep track of things is, you know, that impossibly hard in this game? No, absolutely not. It also helps that, you know, your character's 2 domains, you're going to get domain cards that your character kind of equips that gives you spells and abilities and stuff. A lot of those will have, like, you know, per long rest, whatever. If you have them printed out as actual cards, you can just flip them over. Wow, really easy. The other nice thing is, in this game, you start off with just 2 of those cards, and you gain, I believe, 1 per level. Max level is 10, but you can only ever have 5 equipped. It's wonderfully simple, you know, 5 max abilities. How many abilities do you eventually have in some of these other games? Because let me tell you, having run plenty of D&D, I've had people take 5 minutes on their turn just looking over every one of their abilities and what they do. This is easier, I think. It's just different, and I encourage you to give it a chance. When I was playing, this worked really, really slick, especially starting off with so few. They were really, you know, they were cool, powerful abilities, but very easy for the players to, like, access and know what they can do with them. Another big issue I've seen coming up is people are really not sure about the lack of an initiative system. If you don't know, in Daggerheart, when combat starts, if it's going to last more than a round, you put out a little action tracker thing. Every time a player takes a turn, they place an action token on the tracker, and then they can do an action. There is no set order. Players just decide when they go. One player could go multiple times in a row if that was desired by everyone. And eventually, when a player fails a roll or succeeds a roll with fear, that is when the GM gets to go. And the GM can activate as many enemies as the GM has action tokens. And so if the players have only taken 1 action and then they rolled, you know, succeeded with fear, the GM only has 1 action token to work with, so they're just going to activate 1 enemy, have that enemy attack or whatever, and then it's back to the players. If the players have, like, a streak where suddenly it's like, oh, they've had, like, it took them 5 rolls before someone rolled with fear. Well, now there are 5 action tokens on the tracker. The GM, if they have 5 creatures, can activate 5 of them and take 5 actions. And so it's this really beautiful, natural way of kind of dealing with the whole action economy system. You know, the problem of action economy in D&D, it's a math problem no one wants to deal with. It's just insufferable to me. In this, you have that natural balance, and there are ways where if things seem off balance, that it can be adjusted. Well, let's say, for instance, that the players roll like a fear right away, and there's only 1 action, but the GM has like all these little minion enemies that they want to activate, and they want to give the players a scare early on. If they have some of those fear tokens that they've earned earlier in the game, they can spend that fear to gain, I think it's 2 action tokens per fear. Oh wow, suddenly the GM can take extra actions if they feel like that would make things more interesting. And on the same hand, let's say that, you know, the players are only fighting like they've got like 1 or 2 enemies left, and the action tracker, they've got like 6 action tokens on there. Well, the GM finally gets to take a turn. I can't utilize all those action tokens. You can convert them into fear by take 2 action tokens and it becomes a fear, which you can maybe use in that battle to activate an enemy's special ability, or just save it for later on and introduce something narratively interesting later. So that action economy even carries over to later in the game potentially by creating fear tokens that the GM can use to keep interesting things happening. The game has this natural way of balancing these things out, at least in, you know, the play that I've got to engage with. A big problem I've seen people bring up is they're like, oh, but there's no initiative, so, you know, like, Spotlight Hogs are just going to take all the turns, and the Choir player is just going to sit there and not take any turns because there's no initiative for them. That's not the fault of the game. I feel like you have a problem at your table if that's happening. I think there are multiple ways to correct this. A, one player can't take another turn until everyone's taken a turn. And then they just take their turn whenever they feel like, oh, I've got an idea, can I go next? And once everyone's gone, then you start over. Very simple. Another solution, GMs, when some player is like hogging the spotlight and they want to do their 3rd action in a row, you go, actually, you've been doing all this, I want to know what the other players are doing right now. GMs, you have to learn to take control of some of these situations. There's a number of games out there, plenty of games, that don't have D&D's like in-order numerical initiative system, and they work fine. I've seen people act like this is like, it's gonna be chaos, players are gonna be doing whatever they want. No, not if you all respect one another and you have someone who's trying to maybe moderate the game a little bit, who might be called the game master or game moderator. Come on. If you're still interested in the system and you're like, well, like how D&D like is it? How open and free is it? It's definitely somewhere kind of in between like a Blades in the Dark powered by the Apocalypse, which it takes some heavy influence from Blades in the Dark, which I love. And some of the D&D stuff. Like the things from D&D that it clearly takes are these defined classes with this nice metered out progression of character advancement with certain abilities you can start looking forward to. Like you can look ahead as a character and be like, ooh, at level 5, I can get this ability. I'm so excited for that. A lot of these other games don't do that stuff. Powered by the Apocalypse games and stuff like that, a lot of time just have, take an advancement. I don't know, whatever bonus you want at whatever time you can get an advancement. It's not a big deal. You don't necessarily have this kind of roadmap of advancement that a lot of folks really look forward to. I even like it sometimes. I like freeform advancement, but I can get behind this. I think it's really fun. And this game still has its own more freeform advancement too. So yeah, as you level up, you can increase some traits, increase your HP, add some more stress, increase your experiences, which are kind of like, they're like Fate's aspects, where if you feel like an experience of yours, which is a description of your character or something like that, if you feel like it could apply to a situation, it can give you a bonus if you spend some hope. So you can create new ones as you go. Wonderful system. Very nice and simple. Increase proficiency, increase your add an armor slot or more evasion, increase your damage thresholds. We're not going to get into that, but the HP system is pretty nice. It's simplified, but in a interesting way. And you can choose these, and as you level up, you won't be able to choose all of them, so you definitely have to make choices that are going to make your character feel a little more unique. So you both get that roadmap of advancements with like the domain cards and stuff as you level up to look forward to, those set goals, but you also have this freeform advancement that you can take whenever. Now keep in mind, this is still just their first big open play test. Things could very likely change. Some things will probably change. I swear to God, if they give it to all the people and get rid of the action tracker, I'm going to lose my mind. It's one of my favorite parts about this system, and folks, if you're having troubles with it, please give it a shot. In play, it felt so good. It was so cool and exciting to have. But yeah, and it's probably not going to be for everyone. There, you know, like I said, certain of the more restrictive, crunchy bits, it might not interest folks. And some folks who really like D&D, where you need to have your measured out battle maps and you want to have a list of, you know, 20 some spells by the end of things to choose from, you're not going to get that here. So I don't know. It's not going to be for everyone, but I think that it is for a lot more people than those people realize, if that makes sense. I'm definitely going to be playing more of it soon. I would definitely like to get a feel for it, and I really feel like there's a lot of potential to run some very, very cool, you know, longer campaigns with this system. So yeah, check it out. It's absolutely free. If what I've said has, you know, interested you and encouraged you, totally free. And as you've probably seen throughout this video spliced in, they do have an online character creator, which you don't even really need to know the system to be able to go through that character creator and make a character in 5 minutes. It is on par with the D&D Beyond character creator, which I love. It really makes this game much more accessible. Using the character sheet online is very, very slick. Demiplane and them have done an amazing job making this just a wonderfully slick experience. So get all that stuff online and play there, print off some sheets and play with some friends in person. It's all free right now. Go it is a whole butt system that you can go and check out for free, and I would highly recommend it. I have been very pleasantly surprised by this, and I'm looking forward to playing a lot more. Bye!